And joining us now to talk about it all, behind the story, Zac Summers. How's it going?
It's great. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. We are officially almost to the end of the week. I want to dive straight into your story. How did this all come about? You made your way to Lincoln, Kansas.
Yeah.
Where did the inspiration come from?
Our news director.
He said you're going.
Well, he didn't say it. We have a Teams thread for the special projects and investigative teams, and he had posted like this listing and posed the question, who wants a fun feature? And I'm like, me, because it's nice to get a break from some of the harder stories that we have to tell. So this just looked like something so cool. So I immediately, when I saw the listing, I called the realtor and I'm like, hey, any chance you might let us bring our camera crew to Lincoln and shoot this? And she was like, yeah, when do you want to come? And I was like, okay, that was easier than I thought.
Yeah.
And so, we made it happen.
I'm curious how many people they let come in just to tour it. Like, is this...
Not a lot.
Yeah.
And truly, because they want to make sure that people are serious about buying the property, they actually have them sign like an NDA, paperwork kind of type stuff before, or like a letter of intent, if you will, before they can even like see the property.
Right.
Because they just don't want people in and out just wanting to see it for show, because it's not a tourist attraction.
Right.
And the guy who owns it, oh man, he was so fascinating. I tried so hard to get him to talk on camera, because his knowledge of this site was just, you could tell that he spent some time researching this place even before he bought it. But when I asked him, why do you want to give this up? He's like, I don't want it. But he's like this cool guy who travels in an RV. He has a house in Florida. So
I love that for him.
I know, right? He's just living life, and I think this is one of those things that it was kind of like a passion project when he bought it a couple of years ago, and now he's like, I can part ways with it.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad property to have for those folks who, she says they're for a specific buyer. Whenever I think about like a silo or nuclear place, if I have to go hide underground one day, I have a spot to do it.
A safe way to do it.
If you are a prepper of sorts, looking for an underground bunker,
which is something you've done before. You've done another story.
Yeah, I know. It was just a year ago. I was talking with preppers, so this would have been great to have had for that story. But no, it was such a cool experience, and I think what immediately stood out is like when you walk into this facility, 12 steps down, you immediately feel the drop in temperature, because the ground basically insulates this place, and literally on a hot summer day, 90 degrees.
Yeah, it felt good.
It was 50, 60 degrees downstairs.
Yeah.
And it was so comfortable. I will say, this site sort of collects water, so there's that smell of mold, mildew, whatever it is, but it feels damped. That's what I should say. But to their credit, they put in a couple of humidifiers, so it wasn't too bad down there. And they basically said that if you really wanted to repurpose this facility, you definitely need some humidifiers down there, so it doesn't have that damped feel.
There's so many possibilities with that place. I know she listed off some of them.
The
you can
man
only
cave.
imagine, she said growing mushrooms in there,
wine cellar,
like all types of stuff.
And you know what? Here's the thing. This isn't the only missile silo, Atlas missile silo in Kansas. There were 12 of them.
One of 12.
Yeah, and they have repurposed some of these facilities in other parts of the state. Some of which have turned them into like Airbnbs.
Oh wow!
I know, and so you can rent out a floor, or another one is they're basically underground bunkers that they built up in the silo part, and apparently talking to the owner of this one, each floor went for some crazy amount of money, but it's for people who maybe want that space to run away to if things were to turn south, because the history behind these things were very much behind things turning south. It was during the Cold War, the country was,
they had the pictures on the wall from that time.
And what's really fascinating about, just a quick fact from the owner, I didn't include this in the story, but he was telling me that if you were to add all the concrete that from each of the 12 silos that were built, Atlas F silos that were built in Kansas, you could build a road from St. Louis to Milwaukee.
Oh,
Wow. That's how much concrete they used for these facilities.
Wow.
But what was even more fascinating is that we got to talk to someone who had lived or had worked, which I guess lived because you're there for like 24
Right,
hours
yeah.
at a time, in not this particular silo, but he was in like a Titan, which was kind of like a facility that was built after they did away with the Atlas facilities.
Right.
But he said it was very similar. But you heard him talk about like it wasn't as like glamorous as you'd think. Like it was boring.
Can you
It
kind of
doesn't
walk
look
us?
very
Dull.
glamorous in there at all.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah.
I mean, when you think like, I mean, he described it as like think James Bond,
Yeah.
but not as glamorous.
Okay.
You know?
So can you kind of walk us through the process of getting to this person that you interviewed as well, who experienced something so
Yeah.
similar? Because I mean, I can only imagine the loops you had to jump through.
Yeah, well, I didn't really have to jump to too many loops. It was just a matter of doing a little bit of research
Yeah.
and reaching out to. He is part of an organization.
Okay.
It's a long title.
Okay.
But they basically work to educate people on, our country's nuclear history and de-weaponizing that type of weapon, if you will. And I just reached out to the organization, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do you have anybody from Kansas who has worked in a similar facility like this in Kansas? And I had also seen his name floated out in like some article. And so I reached out to them, and I'm like, if he's not available, can we Zoom with him? And they're like, I know the perfect guy, and yes, he'll talk to you. He lives in South Carolina, but he'll Zoom with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't
And
you
he
just
was
love that?
so great to talk to. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked
Yeah.
for 30 minutes, me and him. Like, and he just was a wealth of knowledge, and you could tell, like he really loved the work that he did. I mean, he's a retired colonel, and he's still, in retirement, loves to talk about like that time.
Yeah.
Which was scary. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
if you think about the fact that we even have these kind of facilities, these type of
Yeah.
decommissioned facilities, like it was a scary time back
Yeah.
then.
They weren't looking at it as entertainment. I know she
Oh,
talked about a
no.
man cave and a wine
Right.
cellar.
It's a
It was
survival.
something way more
Serious
serious.
business,
Yeah. So I know you talk about the drop-in temperatures that kind of surprised you as you walked in, the drop-in temperature, I should say. But what else really caught your eye as soon as you got inside?
The huge doors. There are so many of them.
Yeah.
There, I want to say like 6 to 8 of them throughout the facility.
Right.
That was interesting. I really just loved walking into the control room.
Yeah.
Oh, and real quick before we get to the control room. So basically, when you walk down the steps, you like enter an entrapment room. That's what they call it.
Okay.
She kind of referenced it, but essentially, what would happen is back in the day,
Yeah.
the entrapment room would serve as like a buffer to the actual control room and living quarters. So if somebody would come down, make it down that far, they would have to they'd be basically trapped into this room, and then they'd have to prove who they say they are. And if they're not who they say they are, then they're just trapped until they figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
I didn't hear of any stories of that actually happening, but the entrapment room was really fascinating to hear
Yeah.
that story. And then obviously you get into the living quarters and the control rooms. And when I was in that space, they've painted it all, but you're in that space and you can so just see where the boards were and just visualize it. There's
Yeah.
an escape hatch inside, but like I said in the story, the big aha moment or whoa moment was the silo itself.
Yes.
And you guys, I am afraid of heights.
Oh,
Well,
Zach,
you
same.
made it look convincing.
Oh,
like you
well,
weren't.
that's
I
what we
wouldn't
do
even
for
wanna get
TV.
near
The things
it.
that we do for our viewers sometimes, like when Tara opened the door,
Yeah.
the second door, because there's 2 doors to get to the silo. I immediately, my stomach just dropped, and all they have is a rope,
Okay.
there at the edge. And Riley.
Did you go near it?
No,
I
thank
no,
you.
not me. But Riley, my photographer on this, she just did such a great job, and she was so brave. She literally got pretty close to the edge to get some of these shots, and
Bless her heart.
Took us in there.
yeah, I know it took you there. I said, I'm gonna keep my distance. I did.
be the lookout.
You know what? Funny story though. I did because I was like, you know what, Zach, do this. So I did. I got on my knees and I crawled to the edge
Poor thing.
to just so I could see how far down it was, and quickly scooted back.
Yeah, he's like, that'll do it. That's all I
Like, look
need.
at that! Look at that!
And then you hear the drop, and
I
it's
know.
like it takes
Yeah.
a minute to hear that drop. That,
Oh my God.
yeah, you're better than me. I don't even think I could crawl over there. Zach.
Yeah, it was an experience, but man, what a cool one.
So did the realtor say at all how she went about getting this listing? Because I
Yeah.
do watch those real estate shows.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get a listing
So
like this?
Tara owns a bar in a
Okay.
nearby town in Lincoln, and the owner, who will remain nameless, he frequents that bar.
Okay.
So
Okay.
one day he's at the bar and he's full of stories.
Yeah.
And like he pitches the idea to Tara, like, hey, you want to list this, because she also sells real estate
Okay.
in addition to owning the bar, and she was like, why wouldn't I want to do this?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
amazing. It's a great opportunity. So the listing agent, Tara, and the owner, they just have like a really good working relationship.
Yeah.
And they were at a bar. They were at her bar, and he said, hey, let's do this. And she said, yeah.
Well, it's all about relationships I've learned in
Exactly.
real estate,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
So very cool story.
And she
Yeah, it
said,
was
yeah. So we do know that we have the listing information on our website. When will the story air?
It airs tonight at 10. And you know what's really funny? At the bottom of this story, if you want to venture off, there's an actual Zillow listing of this.
Yeah.
I love Zillow.
So if you want to read what they wrote about this facility, we've linked that to this story.
Wow. Okay. This is really cool. It's just like a
And there
nice
it
little
is.
piece of history. If I were on Zillow though and I saw that, I would probably keep scrolling. Like, what is this? So
But
it's great that you did the story to at least, you know.
Well, you know, we had to verify that it was like real and all
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, Zillow though, some of the things you find on there.
That's why I'm like, keep going, because like, what is this?
But then sometimes it turns out to be a gem.
And
Yeah.
it's really, really, really cool.
A literal hidden gem.
Yeah.
Love
Zach
that.
Summers, we want to thank you so much for joining us here at the live desk.
Thanks
And
for
be
having
sure to catch his story later on tonight on KCTV5 News. We'll be right back.